Focus now to another big story here in the Triad, the upcoming election, which is now less than 2 weeks away, believe it or not.
Voters in Alamance County have an open seat in Congress thanks to the latest redistricting map. The 4th congressional district stretches from Alamance to Durham County and all the way up to the Virginia line. 5 counties in all, plus a small sliver of Caswell.
The candidates this year are Republican Courtney Geels and Democrat Valerie Foushee. Bill O'Neill joins us with a closer look at this race as we continue our Commitment 2022 coverage.
Courtney Geels is making her first bid for political office. Valerie Foushee has been a member of the state Senate representing Orange County. I reached out to 22 candidates for our political coverage this time around. Ms. Foushee is the only candidate who did not grant us an interview. North Carolina's 4th congressional district strongly favors Democrats. They outvoted Republicans by a 2-to-1 margin in the 2020 presidential race. And the Democratic candidate, Valerie Foushee, has outraised her Republican opponent, Courtney Geels, by a 3-to-1 margin.
I've worked in the hospital for 10 years. She's been a politician for 30 plus years. So if people really want someone who's going to represent people who've worked in the workforce, understand what it's like to work for their paycheck and have to pay their bills and it not be really so separate from real people.
Geels describes herself as a Christian and a libertarian. The Hillsborough native says she decided to run for Congress in part because of the vaccine mandate. She calls it government overreach, which threatened her job as a nurse and the jobs of her parents, both of whom work in healthcare.
I felt like that was the point in which the federal government touched my family, and I really couldn't stand for it anymore.
Geels says she had COVID twice and has never been vaccinated. The North Carolina Republican says that friends also encouraged her to run because of her personality as a people person and her willingness to fight for what she believes in.
As you can probably tell, I don't intentionally create confrontation, but I'm not scared of confrontation, and I think you have to have people who are pretty strong in their belief systems and not back down from what they believe.
Is there an issue out there that is at the top of your agenda if you're elected to Congress?
Yeah, I think the economy is the top of everyone's agenda. We actually need to be spending less than we're bringing in so that we can balance, our national checkbook.
So you want to have a balanced budget amendment?
I would vote for a balanced budget amendment. I think it's a great idea.
Give me an example of where you would cut.
Well, I think if we just look at the recent spending, it's not part of what has ever been in the budget. All of this Green New Deal, all of this paying for extra IRS agents, sending money overseas. We're in debt. We have no money, so any money spent is fake money. So okay. I would vote to cap the national debt for sure.
Again, I would just ask, so I can move on. There's no program that you have identified that you think needs to be cut to help.
I mean, as a Republican and a pro-life person, I'm very transparent in the fact that I don't think anyone should be paying to assist abortions. That would definitely go away.
On the issue of abortion, Geels says that states should decide what to do about it, not the federal government. Where would you stand like in North Carolina? Would you like to see North Carolina ban it?
I don't think it really matters.
Your position doesn't matter?
It doesn't, because I'm not running for a state position.
No, you're not, but you're a voter of the state.
I'm pro-life. I mean, I would never have an abortion myself.
You support the exceptions, though, of
I personally don't, but I would sign a bill with that.
There is also a move regarding same-sex marriage, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I think I like to separate civil union and marriage because the idea of marriage was created by God in the Bible and it's being run by the government. And so personally, I like to separate those two because I don't want to invoke any of my faith on other people. I also don't want their faith invoked on me.
You don't support the idea, though, of student loan forgiveness?
No, that's like getting free. I mean, somebody has to teach, someone has to run the school. Who's going to pay for that? Is that taxpayers? I think we need to address that. So school isn't free, burgers aren't free. I think that they consumed the education and they need to pay for the education.
North Carolina's 4th congressional district became an open seat with the retirement of Congressman David Price. Now it is Courtney Geels versus Valerie Foushee. Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.
There are 13 days left before we learn who will win this race and all the others on North Carolina's ballots. We want to quickly remind you we have been doing profiles like this one on several races that you are going to be deciding on. You can find those right now on the WXII 12